Hey, what is up, metal and heavy music fans? It's Fled Icarus again with MetalTrenches.com, and it's time for Trench Talk. Today I'm interviewing members of Finnish progressive death metal band Humavoid. They've got a very Meshuggah-esque sound, but also implementing some keyboards, some Keytar, as a matter of fact, and so had a really great time talking with them about that. You can, by the way, listen to this podcast on any platform of your choice. It is on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, CastBox, and BitChute, and maybe even some other places that I'm not even aware of at this point. But regardless of whatever platform you listen to this on, also subscribe to that YouTube channel because there's tons of other video content going up there, from band reviews and roundups to band discography tier lists and all sorts of things. I'm basically posting every single day at this point, so please do subscribe there and give us a rating here on the podcast and let people know about it so that we can continue to grow as a community. But that out of the way, let's get into the episode.
We are Humavoid. I am Nico, playing the guitar and vocals.
Yeah, I'm Suvi-Maria, playing Keytar and also doing vocals.
Awesome. And I have absolutely fallen in love with this album. It is excellent. And I have to start, though, with kind of the obvious point, which is clearly you're Meshuggah fans. Like, there's no way that that's not a thing. So, particularly, I'm hearing a lot of, like, early Meshuggah sound in the album. So I'm really curious to hear about your history with them, how they play into your sound, and things of that nature.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you very much. And funny, you're not the first one to say that it reminds of the earlier Meshuggah. But actually, I remember like having maybe some thoughts like a while back that it would be cool to have like this, Chaosphere. It's like one of my albums. It would be cool to like combine that kind of hectic sound with more harmonic, movement and melodies and stuff like that. But at some point, I think that thought switched on autopilot, and then when we started to think about different, just trying out different things. We have the keyboard and all kind of synth sounds. Maybe it was that kind of initial thought that it would be cool to have that kind of vibe with some melodies, which kind of guided our choices, decisions along the way. Despite having we like all kind of music and we're influenced by anything basically. But
yeah.
But yeah, it's obvious. We love Meshuggah also.
I mean, there's even when I put my review up the week of release, I referenced this one segment, and I'm forgetting now which song it's in, but there's like a particular part earlier in the album where there's kind of like the main screaming part, and then there's kind of like a backup vocal part that comes in, and it's just so reminds me of Destroy, Erase, Improve, Future Breed Machine. So I even like put the two clips side by side, and I'm like, this almost feels like a direct throwback at this point. So I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I thought it was cool.
Well, yeah, I think, at some point when I got the 8-string guitar, I didn't want to copy them, right away, like doing what they do or what people do mostly, like just using the lowest couple of notes. But there's that. But then also, like, I don't want to forget, like, all that stuff, all the, like, thrash metal in the 90s, Sepultura, Fear Factory, stuff like that. And then, to have that kind of vibe. And they also had these, like, gang shouts, especially, Meshuggah, and they're one of my favorites. Not sure if you've heard about Stone, the Finnish band in which Roope Latvala, the guy who played in Children of Bodom, well, they used to be like a huge influence over here, but they never got to play much outside of Finland. That was like early 90s, but they had a lot of those gang shout things as well. So that's something we like. It's cool.
I'm such a sucker for that. I love that like gang vocal element. It's just such a like hype moment, especially when you're playing live. Like that, those are the real crowd pleasers right there.
Yeah.
Speaking of like early influences, going back all the way to the beginning, what would you say are the metal albums for both of you that got you into metal to begin with?
Whoa, for me, Metallica. I don't know which album, maybe Justice for All was the one. Also, Children of Bodom, their early albums, and In Flames was my biggest favorite when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
So maybe those.
Did you have a
Yeah.
favorite album from In Flames?
Yeah, I did, and it is that girls like what like.
Is that the one with Cloud Connected?
That was my favorite.
Yeah.
Reroute to
well,
Remain. Yeah.
Reroute to Remain, yeah.
Yeah.
The same album where's there, but I don't remember the name of the album, which is very embarrassing. But yeah, because I always listen, well, anyway.
Those are, for me, I guess, well, obviously Metallica. I think Justice for me as well was like, it's still, I like to listen to that. There's a lot of things going on. And, you can still like listen to it in ways to, get inspired for like how many ways you can twist a riff and make variations. And it's always, I mean, we like to do that. You have a couple of ideas and you just squeeze all the juice out of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, Justice for All, then early Megadeth, Sepultura Rise. Then it went to like more of the technical stuff. But pretty early on, I remember my friend buying Contradictions Collapse, the first Meshuggah album, and he didn't like it, but I like bought it from him for like a month or something. And yeah, that. But then also, I think Cannibal Corpse made me think like more outside of the box in terms of riffing or kind of that you can do whatever basically, not just power chords or.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember the first time I heard Cannibal Corpse, I didn't know what to make of it. Like, I thought it was a joke for a while, and then it took a while for it to click.
Yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned Contradictions Collapse, too, because that's such an interesting album in that it sounds almost like Meshuggah trying to sound like Metallica in a way.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until like the next two albums where they really segued into that classic Djent sound that they're known for. But I did a tier list of their albums on the channel a little while back on YouTube, and that's probably like the album I listened to the least, so it's interesting going back and listening to it again because it's just so different from their other stuff, and Jen's just sounds very different. Like he's trying to do like this like Metallica impression, and yeah.
Oh, Growly James, I don't know.
It's interesting.
But that's a different band. That album is like if I feel like listening to Meshuggah, I don't put that album on. But if I feel like listening to some technical thrash, then maybe I'll choose that one.
Yeah. I my first song I heard from them was Future Breed Machine, and I remember like my friends and I found it on like LimeWire or something, and we pressed play on it while we were driving, and we were just like in dead silence that entire drive because we were just in awe of just that crazy opening. And 2 years ago I finally got to see them live here in Portland, and they played that song, and it was like a religious experience, and the floor was shaking. Like those guys just still kill it to this day. It's crazy to think how long they've been around and are still like cranking out great music. I should probably transition to you all. So tell me more about how Humavoid got started and where the music came from.
Yeah, well, me and Nico were part of the different band before this, and there we kind of started to work together and like vision that we could have our own band together and what we would like to do. And after that, a couple of years went by, and we started to make it together. Like
yeah, that was like that band in which we were. It was not too active, but kind of in a phase of making new songs. And then we kind of composed songs for that band, but then nothing happened. So, and then she went to music school. So those songs kind of became the like the first songs that we did, and they were like her like how do you call it? Like some kind of
Graduation.
yeah, like some kind of schoolwork basically. And but that was like those songs were before the band, and then we found a lineup, like a steady lineup, and started to do like music that we really want to do, and that was the Glass EP that we put out in 2015. That was kind of like what we consider our first true Humavoid release, and back then I don't know if it was like some kind of counter reaction that she had clean vocals, only clean vocals, and I was growling, and then it was almost like intentional. I don't know why, just some kind of brain fart that all right, now all the women are starting to growl or scream, and
actually it felt like I should have been screaming when we played shows with those songs. I felt like there's not power enough in my clean vocals.
Yeah, like it doesn't correlate with the level of energy of the music. That's funny, because when we were playing live, she kind of
started to scream.
She became louder and louder.
Gave into the moment. That's a good way of natural evolution of the music. That's really cool.
Yeah, with the gut feeling that whatever the music makes her or me to whatever feeling it evokes and makes you wanna sing like, then that's probably the sound that we should go with.
Yeah.
Well, I compared your voice, your screaming voice, to Jen's on the review, so hopefully that's high praise, because it just again has a similar quality and that same intensity, and I absolutely love it. And man, I feel like, especially like past couple of years really, but especially this year, there have been some amazing just front women in metal that are just killing it right now. Like I reviewed a lot of it's in hardcore, but also in death metal. But I reviewed this album from Sharptooth recently, and they just knocked it out of the park. And then stuff from like Code Orange when Reba gets on the mic. I saw that they actually opened for Meshuggah, and it was really cool seeing them on stage. What was that?
So Reba, the guitar player, she sings also.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I've been checking out the new album. I'm like, whoa, nice.
It's weird. It's like all over the place with the new stuff. But in any case, all that to say, like it's really cool to see just all these bands. I hesitate to, I always want to say female fronted, but I know some people get mad at that term now. I am kind of curious, like what you all feel about that terminology being used towards music.
Well, I don't get mad about it because for some people it's so important if there is a female or not singing, but when you listen to it, you might not hear which one it is. So I think it's not a genre in the sense.
I agree.
To us, but if someone is looking for it, it's not a problem for me. If people are using it.
Yeah, I think I don't get when people are getting like super angry if someone uses that term. But yeah, I don't think it's like a genre. But you could use it as an adjective, like you can say death metal, but then you can say brutal death metal,
right? Or
melodic death metal. But what if you say female-fronted death metal? Then at least something that probably gives you more ideas about what it could sound like. If if there's clean vocals, you will know that it's gonna sound a little different.
Yeah.
I mean, if there was fronted power metal, or then I don't see why you couldn't use that term, because it kind of gives you a better idea how it could sound like.
Yeah, but I understand the problem to putting under female fronted metal every band where it's a female singer. That's not kind of
because there's such diversity in what that could sound like if it's just female fronted metal band, because there's symphonic metal, there's like more classical metal, there's death metal. I mean, it all sounds different. But I agree with what you're saying though. Like I agree it's not a genre. In fact, I'm kind of weirded out by that argument when people I've seen a slew of articles and interviews lately where like people are getting mad and they're like, it's not a genre. And I'm like, who thinks it's a genre? I have yet to meet a single person who actually thinks of it as a genre. Like, I see it as like a descriptor or a tag, and kind of like you're saying, there's a whole group of people, and I've met like multiple like big Facebook groups and stuff dedicated to like they seek this stuff out, and so that tag just helps them find it. And I know when I get an email, because I get so many bands on a daily basis, and they all start to sound the same, but when I see female fronted grindcore band or female fronted brutal death metal band or something, I'm instantly like more intrigued at that point, and I'm more likely to click it. So I see it as a net positive, but I could also understand how if somebody's using it in like a condescending, like, oh, it's a girl metal band kind of way, that would be upsetting. But I don't know any of those people, so it's just weird to even think about it that way.
Yeah, definitely. It shouldn't be like a way of, getting like some kind of sensational attention, like that you should be treated differently just because, oh, look, girls are doing that.
Yeah.
But to have the sound, why not? But hey, I don't know. It's funny. We don't. I don't know. Can I say this? Like representing the whole band, but like people who like Djent, they don't consider us Djent. And people who don't like Djent, they're like, no, I don't want to check out your band. I don't like Djent. So
yeah.
Imagine if we were. But basically,
that's so true.
Argue, yeah, someone could argue that we are female fronted Djent. Imagine how many people that could piss off.
Yeah.
If you tell to the wrong people.
But yeah, that is so true. Like Djent is almost like the new metal. Like I feel like new metal was like a bad word for a long time, but now like all the bands that are popular in the scene now like grew up on new metal. So new metal's like okay now because it has that nostalgia quality. But now Djent is the new like dirty word. And I won't say what band it was, but a couple years ago I reviewed this black metal band that had a very djenty guitar sound, and I referenced it in the review, and they literally messaged me back and were like, don't call us a djent band, like that's not what we are. And I'm just like, but your guitar, that's how it sounds, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know, it's funny to me how people get mad and split hairs about these things. But also Djent has just evolved in so many different directions too, because originally like it was from death metal with Meshuggah, but now it's all like these metalcore bands mostly kind of utilizing the sound. And that's, I feel like, where the dirty word came in, because, oh, we don't want to be a metalcore band, we're a metal band. And I'm like, all right, whatever.
I was into, like, I remember when there was like Meshuggah, Textures, and some, people were talking about this new band called Periphery on MySpace. So those are like the three bands that first I thought about, like, all right, Djent, yeah, I think that's the kind of music that I like. But then, like, just in a blink of an eye, it's this, I don't want to sound rude, but these whiny choruses and happy melodies and that guitar. But yeah, that's not what I thought it like. It doesn't mean what I like anymore.
Yeah. I mean, it's evolved like with any genre that gets popular, because it just got massively popular, like you said, kind of due to Periphery, especially, which I still love Periphery, but then came all the imitators, just like what happened with nu metal. Like, I feel like the original nu metal bands are really good, but then you had these kind of second wave nu metal bands that were all just sort of imitating someone else's sound and sounded really bad. And same with Djent, you've got all these kind of like bands trying to do it, and some of them do it really well, but some of them not so much. So it starts to get oversaturated.
Yeah, but in hindsight, you can just pick the best albums, and I think they will be remembered. Like, a lot of the Periphery stuff and Monuments. It's pretty cool.
I'm glad you mentioned Textures too. I miss those guys. I was really bummed that they broke up.
Yeah. I think that's one that could be like one of our influences too. Yeah. Like to me, early Meshuggah and Textures, they're like pretty similar. So
yeah, they're an interesting band in that they sort of straddled the line, because they're like kind of a metalcore band, but they're also heavy enough where you could argue that they're more than that. Like there's some like kind of progressive death metal elements in it too. I interrupted you though. You were gonna say something. I talk too much.
Yeah, I think like the first time I heard it was Drawing Circles, the second album. My friend played it to me, and I kind of shrugged it off. I was like, "This is just metalcore that tries to sound Meshuggah with stupid clean vocals." But then, like 2 months later, I'm like, "This is the best album I've heard in a while."
Yeah.
But yeah, like for me, like the metalcore stuff back in the day was kind of because, yeah, I'm more from the metal school, so anything with core in it, unless it's like just straight up New York hardcore, I I feel like I haven't felt like, yeah, that's
I was like, that's on my shelf, isn't it? I love that album, Phenotype, their last one. I just felt like everything kind of came together on that one.
But yeah, it's a shame that they broke up.
But let's transition again. I have to ask about the Keytar. So that was another thing that, so like initially, like I pressed play on the album when it showed up in my email, and I was like, oh yeah, this is sick. And then I watched the video and I saw you break out the Keytar, and I'm like, yeah, this is my band now. Like, how many bands are rocking the Keytar at this point? So tell me more about like who got you into that, what your first influences were, and why you choose to play it.
Yeah, actually, I'm a pianist, classically trained, and our first idea was to get someone to play keyboard in our band. But then, just like 2 weeks before our first gig, I saw Keytar. My friend had a Keytar, and I asked, "Can I try it?" and kind of fell in love right away because and I used it since at the first gig and ever since because I feel like because I am a pianist, it's a great way to play your own parts that you have written and stuff like that. There are a lot of instrumental parts, so it would be maybe boring to be just a singer when you have composed those parts by yourself. Of course, I want to play them by myself too. And it's so cool to be able, as a singer, you are able to be in front of the stage. Because I was used to, if I play classical piano or just keyboard, I have to be somewhere.
I'm used to that. I have my 3 girls walking into this room constantly, so understand.
I need to be somewhere else than on the front of the stage, and it's so much easier to mosh when you have a Keytar, and I just love it. It's like a toy, but still you can play a lot of stuff with it.
Yeah, it makes it easier, I guess, to feel the music. I mean, how many ways can you jump behind a desk if you had a keyboard and stuff? Of course, people do that, but yeah, she's the front woman, so that was pretty logical.
Yeah, and actually, when I tried it at the first time, I didn't think that is this cool or not. It was just, this is my things, my way to do things.
You make it cool. Like the Keytar to me is like it's like a traditionally really corny instrument with like a lot of joking behind it, but like when I saw you all playing together with the Keytar, I was like, this is badass. I'm 100% sold on this.
That's so nice to hear because I mean, not until now I just thought that, wow, we are such an easy target for haters.
Yeah, there'll be some of that, no matter what.
But we never thought about that. Like of course, sometimes, yeah, we haven't thought about it. Maybe some people have asked, like, Keytar, where did that come from? Are you into Wham? But no, we're not into that.
Yeah, I don't have any Keytar idols either. It's just so handy,
Yeah.
when playing band. That's the reason to use it.
Was it hard to transition from a regular piano to it? Because I just feel like, I play some guitar, and I feel like the guitar is well built to be strapped to your shoulders. Like the way that you play it, it just naturally makes sense. Whereas the way you play a piano, to me, just seems extremely difficult if it's hanging down like that. So I don't know, was it hard to make that transition, or was it just natural?
Well, at first, when I had composed every piano part to be, so I would play them with a piano. So when I first started to play them, I noticed that some parts were not too hard to play, but with both hands. And if there's a long part and you play long time with your both hands, it's starting to slide, and you have to do like this to keep it in the middle. But when after the first album, when we started to really make Humavoid kind of music, I knew that I have a Keytar, so I was a bit wiser what kind of parts I will compose. But it's very intuitive. I can train with people and then just go to play a gig with a Keytar. So they are kind of the same. You just have to have this lean back position, so you can keep it steady.
I can't even imagine. Like that's it. I played a little piano growing up too, and it's just the whole concept to me just seems weird. But I suppose like anything you do it enough, it starts to get easier. But I'm really glad you made that choice, because I just think it, with so many bands now, like just with the internet and social media and Bandcamp and everything, like there's just so many metal bands. Like that wasn't a thing just, a couple of years ago. And so you kind of have to have like that hook. Like you got to have that thing that makes you stand out. And ideally your music is good enough to back it, so that you're not just like that. To me, that's the difference between like a hook and a gimmick. Like a gimmick is like that's all the band is, and that's no good. But it's like you have this hook where people can see this, and you should put it front and center, and it'll intrigue people enough to be like, whoa, that's different. And then they click on the music and go, oh shit, like the music is good too. So I think you're poised, if you get the marketing right, to really make an impact here.
Yeah, thanks. The cool thing is that it kind of came naturally.
Very naturally.
It has a purpose. It's not just wrap something on to stand out.
Yeah, and I think that's another defining definition between the two too, is that like a gimmick is usually like very, okay, we need a gimmick, what's it gonna be? Whereas a good hook is like just something that evolves naturally and just happens to become part of your image or sound or whatever. And in any case, though, I think it's really cool. I want to shift again, though, so looking at the album itself, lots of cool stuff going on. The synth element really like brings a lot of different textures, and then you've got songs that sound very different too, between the more kind of like singing driven ones and the more screaming driven ones. And I'm curious, like, for this album, what were the primary inspirations? Are there major like themes or concepts at play? And just what else can you tell me about it?
No, first of all, I think we wanted to make an angry album. We wanted it to be like more aggressive that we have been doing before.
Yeah, like didn't want to hold back, because like the previous the EP that we had with only the clean vocals, but then between that and this album we realized that she shouldn't hold back like anything. So with that in mind, we just let it go.
Yeah, and what about the theme? I think it's
musically we actually wanted to like have lots of kind of, how do you call these, like motives, that just like there are a bunch of things that kind of repeat in a different context, which is we had this idea that we want to do that, and we actually pulled it off as well. Also, we left a lot of room for improvisation, there's like the interludes that actually she did. They're like improvised. Actually, the second one, the song called Inside Number 2, was I didn't tell her that that
you're going to record
that I'm recording. I just told her, hey, play something. And afterwards I was like, cool, we got a solid take. And afterwards she's been like, yeah. Afterwards she put some like layers to go with the piano piece, but those are improvised, and also the drum solo that Heikki has. But yeah, we wanted to. I think our theme we wanted to have it be some sort of. We have two things going on with the album, like lyric wise, and maybe you can also hear it. Like we wanted it to be like a celebration for creativity, kind of, that whatever you feel like, if you're curious about combining some stuff or some ideas, like I wonder what these could sound like, just go for it. And there's like, we recorded swans that were fighting over a frosty lake when we were demoing the vocals, like during some winter or springtime. And we heard that sound, and because we were we retreated to like a cottage for demoing the vocals, and then we heard the swans fighting, and we're like, cool, let's bring the mic out and then put it on a porch, recorded them, and used that as like some kind of like soundscape somewhere. And
yeah, like in the piano parts.
Yeah, but anyway, wanted it to be like aggressive, but at the same time kind of like have this positive also mindset that that everything goes, just follow whatever you feel like could sound cool, try it out, maybe it works. And then lyric wise, also although the themes might not like on the surface level feel like that, I think we tend to repeat a lot of the kind of thinking that everybody makes their own luck, like instead of just, you can either complain or do something about it or accept it, one of those three.
Yeah.
So I think complaining is not an option, so it's either
I agree.
one of those. Yeah.
I wonder if that's like, it's almost, that's a big philosophy of mine too. And I actually work in mental health and counseling, and that's like a big part of the work. And so it's almost like maybe there was a subconscious element that I picked up on here too, because sort of like you said, this is a very like heavy album, but it's not like a bitter album. Like there's so many like bitter sounding metal albums right now because everybody's pissed off, understandably, about everything that's going on and just across the board. But it's kind of refreshing to, in the midst of all that darkness, like have something that does, this is a very kind of inspirational sounding album at the same time that you can still just bang your head and get crazy to it. So
yeah,
I love that.
So great. Yeah, so great to hear that you can hear it too, because people have asked me, especially my mom, that why you are so angry when you're singing. And I'm trying to say to her that actually I'm the happiest person in the world when I'm singing songs, so they are not angry or bitter at all. So it's great to hear that you can hear it too.
Yeah, I relate to that story. Oh, go ahead. I don't want to interrupt you. I'll come back around.
Just like kind of like in the gym, maybe personal trainers are not angry even though they're like, come on, man, push it.
Yeah,
like
that's a good good metaphor.
Yeah. It's like in a good mood, you can still sound like that. But yeah, you were saying.
Yeah, I just related to that story because I remember as a teenager, my mom asked me basically the same question because I'd like put on my metal music while we were driving places. And I remember we were driving to like a doctor's appointment or something. I still pretty vividly remember this. And I was listening to Shai Hulud, and they have a song. I forget what the name of it is. It may even just be called like Scream, but the lyrics are literally they're screaming about why it's so like cathartic to scream. And it's like a very positive song. But we got out of the car and my mom was like, why do you listen to this angry music? And I was like, Mom, were you even listening to like what they were saying? And she's like, I couldn't understand what they were saying. I'm like, well, if you look into it, like a lot of this isn't necessarily angry music. It's just like a different form of expression. that some people really connect with, myself included. So yeah, I think it's I just thought that was funny that it made me remember that. That was a long time ago.
What was that? I'm curious, what was the song and the artist?
So Shai Hulud, they're like a classic hardcore band. They're not together anymore. I've heard rumors that they might be getting back together and maybe working on something. But I can't remember what the name of the song was. I'll see if I can find it by chance. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to I think it's on the it might be on A Profound Hatred of Man is the album. Or maybe that's the song. I don't even remember. I it's been a little while since I even listened to Shai Hulud anyways, but yeah, check out Shai Hulud. They're just kind of like I don't know how to describe them. Just very classic like late 90s hardcore as things were transitioning to metalcore becoming a thing. So a little bit of even like kind of, it's weird to say it, there's a little bit of like Hatebreed in their sound, but it's like less kind of like that new metal-y vibe. It's still more pure hard. I don't know. Just check them out. They're pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Gotta check it out. Is it like more like Madball, Agnostic Front kind of?
Yeah. That's probably a better place to classify it. Yeah, and there. And if you talk to like really old school like metalcore fans, they all will talk about Shai Hulud, and also like the mathcore. They're not a mathcore band, but if you talk to people who listen to mathcore, like they'll bring them up a lot too. Like they're a very kind of foundational band. Oddly enough, at one point, they had a bunch of different vocalists, kind of each album, but I think it's the guitar player from Newfound Glory is the vocalist on one of their albums, which is so weird because those two bands sound nothing alike, but it's just kind of a fun little fact.
Gotta look into it. I mean, mathcore, you mentioned that. For me, Dillinger Escape Plan is huge. I love them. I saw them at first 2004 in a festival. I was like, what is going on? And they're just jumping around. I had to buy the albums. And then I also saw them on their last tour. And actually, I just had to go up on stage and dive from there because, I mean, you got to stage out once in a Dillinger show, right?
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, I saw them live too, and it's just crazy to watch him climb the rafters, and he's just this big, like, ape of a man. And he's just tearing the place apart. I love every one of their albums. Like, they've been a big influence on me. I was a little sad that they broke up, but it was kind of bittersweet because I was like, there are so many bands that stick around too long and their music starts to become shit. And for Dillinger, it was like every album got better, and then they just went out at the highest point in their career, and now they leave like this amazing legacy, and all the members can now go off and form other bands that are really good. There's a band called End right now that has I forget which member is in that. I think it might be the drummer. Really intense, like metallic hardcore, and it actually has members, come to think of it, of like Shai Hulud, Counterparts, and a bunch of other bands. They're kind of like a hardcore supergroup, and they just put out an album this year called Splinters from an Ever-Changing Face, I think it's called, and it is definitely one of the heaviest albums of the year, so definitely check that out.
Getting good tips here.
Yeah. Hey, man, that's what this channel is all about. Like, I'm focused on just finding the most interesting kind of underground bands and getting them out to as many eyes and ears as possible. But you're talking about mathcore. Are there other mathcore bands that you're into? Because that's definitely a favorite genre of mine.
Well, actually, not really. I mean, I think a phase when I was like, all right, Dillinger's the shit, and then I wanted to check out everything even remotely similar. But I feel like I'm happy with the discography of Dillinger. That's enough for me. Yeah. I mean, there's many notes in there.
Well, I will just quickly recommend the number 12 Looks Like You, Worse Than Alone. Incredible album. Botch, their last album, is like a classic. And the first Norma Jean album too is kind of a big deal one. I could go on and on, but I think those three are the ones just top of mind that for somebody who likes that kind of music, you should definitely check those out as well.
By the way, not sure what would you call that Car Bomb is like, because that's a super cool band.
Hell yeah. In fact, I had Greg, the guitar player, on the podcast last year, and
cool.
he was super cool. Yeah, they're loved by the mathcore scene. So they're like kind of a mathcore band, but they're also kind of a djent band, but they're also kind of just their own thing. Especially their latest album. It's like this weird progressive djent death metal meets like shoegaze music. And it's just so weird, but absolutely its own thing. And one of the reasons why I think they've taken off, like in the underground, they're like one of the biggest bands right now, I'd say, and everybody loves them. And it's just because, like you're talking about, your album is all about like inspiring people to fuse weird things together and kind of get creative, and that is definitely one of those albums.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why I have like I haven't updated my impression of the band, because first when I found them, I got like really strong like grindcore vibes, although they be like technical all the time. But I don't know, I would call it like labyrinth grindcore.
That's cool. You should tell them that. I think they'd like that. I'll have to let Greg know. I'm going to make a note here too and pass that along. Labyrinth grindcore. I love when people come up with like weird original kind of like new genre descriptors for their band. Some people really shy away from that because they just don't like the idea of genres in general. But again, I think that takes us back to like, if you're really descriptive with it and kind of have fun and get creative, it tells you something about their sound and gives somebody something to check out. It's almost like clickbait in a way. Like if it's like a really weird one too.
It's like, just like what's the difference of Children of Bodom and Cannibal Corpse? They're just death metal,
Yeah.
Of course, it's better to have something to go along with it, like with the description.
And even if you say like melodic death metal, a lot of melodic death metal bands sound really different. Like I feel like Soilwork doesn't necessarily sound like At the Gates. Like they're very just different approaches. Like one is I like to throw in like kind of like more thrash influenced melodic death metal versus more kind of Gothenburg influenced melodic death metal, and there's just so many different ways to look at it. I mean, we were talking about In Flames earlier too. They've got their own take on their sound. I am curious what both of you think of their newer stuff.
Actually, I haven't listened to it that much. It's embarrassing to admit, but it was the teenager time when I was loving them so much, but lately not so much.
Yeah, for me, I have to be honest. I've never listened to them like a full album. Every now and then I might check out the song, but I don't know. The latest news I've heard that they've tried to. I mean, they have re-recorded some of the Claim and stuff, and some people don't like it, but I haven't heard it myself, so I don't judge.
Yeah, and to me, like I always try to keep it positive. Like I'll give bands shit and like say some stuff about them, just speaking my opinion. But my opinion is always also that like there are people who like it and good for them. I don't really like their newer stuff. The thing that has been upsetting for me is lately they've been re-recording their old stuff. And it always reminds me of, I call it George Lucasing. It's like it's like when he took Star Wars and started adding all this stuff into it and deleting things out and making it this different thing. Like, to me, those early In Flames albums are like perfect. And there's something about the production and the charm of just how they sounded to the era. So taking that and then making it new with modern production, and you listen to the mix and it's just like they've taken all the energy and charm and personality out of it, and now it's just this very bland kind of new thing, and I'm not happy with that. But anyways, that's just my random rant for this episode.
yeah, but I get that, because to me the production is a part of the album. Like, it's so cool to even, like, before you put the album on and you remember, like, oh yeah, this one's got like super brutal kick drum and guitars, and oh, I remember this one with the snares on. And you almost want to hear them because of the sound sometimes, not because of the songs.
Yeah, it can
So,
like
Yeah.
take you back to a different era. Sorry, I interrupted
Yeah.
again.
No, I definitely
Yeah, there's
say
certain
that.
albums I listen to, and they're just the quality of, especially that like kind of early 90s to mid 90s melodic death metal sound has this very specific tonality to it and atmosphere that brings me back to like being 16 and listening to those albums and sharing it with all my friends. And I will say too, like while all the other people were at the pool listening to like the latest like top 10 pop songs on the loudspeakers, I was there with my Discman listening to Damage Done by Dark Tranquillity, and like that was just a special moment in my early formative years.
I could go on forever with about the production of different albums, but yeah, just go on.
Yeah, I did want to just ask, like, are there anything else that you want people to specifically know about your album or your band?
Don't be afraid of the Keytar. uh, and and
Yeah.
if you don't like Djent, still check us out.
Yeah, seriously, I would agree with that. Like, you're
Because
really
it's not-
selling yourself short.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I would like to tell people to watch our videos we have done, because we have done them
Pretty.
DIY. As DIY, I have edited them by myself and produced by myself.
Oh, wow.
We have done them without any money, so
That's impressive, because they look really professional. I enjoyed them greatly. Who did the album cover, by the way? Speaking of the artistic side of things, I really love that album cover.
Thanks. That's a super cool thing. We knew that we want to have a real painting for the album cover, and then we also knew that we want to have something, like Jackson Pollock kind of, like some kind of splatters, but also some sort of image in there, so that it's not just splatter. But then I'm not sure if you've seen the promo picture when we are just like messed up in paint and kind of fighting. Yeah, we took those pictures before we had the real cover. Even like we didn't know who's gonna make it, but we just had this idea of the cover. And then I think it was on the way back from the promo shoot. She found this guy on Instagram, a Finnish guy, Juhani Perälä, who was he's like 30 something, and he's got his unique style. And we just contacted him like, hey, would you like to be interested in making a album cover for this metal band that we have? And his first response was like, gotta check it out. I'm pretty busy at the moment, but I'll check it out. And then like next day, like, holy shit, this is super cool. I'm getting all these ideas. And then after 1 week, he got like it almost done. We just gave him some feedback, like, yeah, looking good. And then maybe some, I don't know, like at first the face had like, or like we don't want it to have hair, or like to make it less like anonymous or something like that.
Yeah.
But then
actually, he said that he painted the whole painting while listening the album all over again.
Oh, that's cool.
All over again. It's kind of collaboration kind of thing also. Yeah,
when we went to pick up the painting, we stood at his place like more than 1 hour just talking about stuff, and it really clicked between us. And I really hope that we can do something with him in the future as well.
Yeah.
Well, I love the whole just DIY vibe you're talking about. Like, I had no idea that you were, editing the videos and everything, because it looks like it's just like professionally shot and done, just like a lot of other music videos right now. So it is fantastic. The album cover is really cool. It's probably my favorite album cover of the year. You should make flags if you haven't already, because I think people would get them for sure. I did want to ask, are you going to have any US distribution of the album? Because shipping is a fucking nightmare right now with COVID and just the prices and the time it takes for things to get across the pond, so to speak. So, any plans with that?
Well, I don't know the details about the like US distribution, but I have a feeling, at least I hope, that it should like hit the stores there as well.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. So we gotta figure that out. But little hint. But yeah. You're not talking about the shipping costs, but in general, that it's just stuff don't find the.
Yeah, I think it took 5 weeks for our EP to. Someone ordered the old EP, and we sent it during COVID, and it took like 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Here to there, so.
Yeah, it's a pain right now. Like even local stuff. Like I got the latest Make Them Suffer album, and it just showed up today, and I ordered that like 2 months ago, I think. And that's a US band, so it's just you never know what's gonna happen. But like everywhere I'm seeing the album right now, it's like an import, and so it just makes it more difficult.
I guess maybe closer to the release date we know more about it, because I know, because one of my friends is working at a local record shop, and they do have it online, like you can pre-order the album, but they don't have it in their stock yet.
Okay.
So maybe that's something that some places don't, put it online before they physically have it or something like that.
Yeah.
Especially this time.
Yeah. Well, when you know more, even like friend me on a social or something and message me directly, because I want to make sure that I share those links. Because I think most people aren't going to care, because most people buy digital now anyways, so it's almost like a moot point for them, which is great for like overseas sales. But I know plenty of people like myself who, I don't know if you can see much behind me, but like I still love physical media. Like I love buying it and holding it and the smell of opening the CD. And I know people who love collecting vinyl now too. So I want to be able to let those people know, like in the US, where they can buy it, so they don't see it for like, twice the price because of shipping, and knowing it's going to take, a month to get there. That could turn them off from potentially buying it. So yeah, let me know.
Yeah. I don't want to make your balls any more blue, but one of my friends who was like the first to receive, because we got a couple of promotional copies, I gave one of the album to my friend, and he was like, open it and like looking at it, and first comment was like, wow, it feels like a real album experience. Like,
hell yeah,
physical, you get that experience. So yeah, we wanted to pay attention to that as well when we were like thinking about the layout and packaging and stuff like that. Nothing super fancy, something else than just a jewel case,
Yeah. Well, and speaking of which, the episode before this, I talked to this guy Corey, who's really cool. He's in this band, or project rather, Zombie Shark, and he likes to do something different for each album. And so the last album, he took a bunch of like Nintendo, was it Nintendo cartridges or some sort of game cartridge? He hollowed them out, and then he put a flash drive in it with the music. And then this time he I can't grab it because it's pinned to the wall, but you might see it next to the guitar behind me. It's like an action figure style case, like where you, with like the cardboard back, and then it's got like theme to the song. It has little skulls and broken glass inside of it, and then again a flash drive that has the music on it. And that was like the limited edition version of the album. I thought that was really cool.
Very creative. I mean, yeah, that's super cool. I have a fuzz pedal that's made into the shell of this original Game Boy. It's called the Fuzz
that's
Boy.
Awesome. I love that. I love stuff like that. Like I could spend all day just like looking at that stuff and trying to buy it. I've got too many bills right now, but I always try to, pick up as many interesting things as I can. But yeah, I can't wait to this is definitely an album that I want a physical copy of. Definitely a CD. But I'm interested to see what else you all have too. So again, yeah, let me know where I can get it the most easily once you've got more info.
Actually, I'm just gonna say that Little Birds have been singing that there might be a pre-order kind of bundle happening where there might be something unique, one-off kind of accessory maybe to go with the
Ooh.
album, but I'm not gonna tell any more details
Okay.
at this point. Not
Okay.
for sure. I'll
So-
let you know.
So what you're saying is people should probably follow your Facebook page and all that stuff to hear about it. Okay. Yeah, people definitely need to do that because there's all sorts of great stuff there. But I could go on forever every episode, but I've got some other stuff I've got to get to. But I always like to conclude, given that this is a channel all about underground metal bands, I like to ask the people I'm talking to, what do you feel like is another heavy or metal band that you're aware of that you feel like deserves more attention and not enough people are talking about?
Well, there's a bunch, but I think off the top of my mind, I should say Fireproven, which is this Finnish progressive metal band. They have their first album out called, damn it, something Diaries. Those guys
Okay.
kill me. I mean, we're good buddies, but yeah, Fireproven. Check that out.
Fireproven.
It's
Okay.
like it's very like well composed stuff, and it's got clean singing, growls, and superb playing, cool riffs and keyboards and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's funny. There's a guitar player and bass player who both are singing, are brothers, and also drummer and keyboard player are brothers.
Yeah.
So it's like two brothers.
Two brothers. I don't know if you all watch Rick and Morty, but that's a Rick and Morty reference too.
Balance Breach from Finland also. They are like young band making. It's hard to say is it metalcore or not.
I would say it's metalcore. They are pretty ferocious live. They're like super, like it's super high energy stuff. But the album's got dynamics as well, so it's not just in your face.
Yeah.
Cool.
One more band, Medicated, which is like
true. Yeah.
Yeah, we actually they asked us to feed on one of their songs. They just released an album. I think it was called Dissension, and yeah, that's like melodic death metal, but lots of these Gojira kind of cool, you know, like sludgy riffs and or more like, you know, those like weird rhythms that they have, but it's not like Meshuggah kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Keytar, but made in Finland. Keytar.
Oh yeah. Okay, that sounds up my alley for sure. I do really love me some, especially earlier Gojira. They have a very just kind of special, I don't know, there's something they have this particular guitar sound that I instantly recognize as like the Gojira guitar sound. It's like usually also whenever I hear a band do that like slide with the harmonic, to me that's like the Gojira move, because they do that in like all of their early songs.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Or the Formulas album by Morbid Angel. It's like, yeah, those two. But it's cool. They're kind of like picking up the sludgier, the swamp stuff from Morbid Angel. I think Drake called them swamp riffs. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
okay.
something.
So more like Domination era, like that. That's where I think of that like swampy sound, like Where the Slime Lives, that sort of thing.
Yeah. And there's like one song in Formulas that just starts with the, I can't remember the name of the song, but it just starts with the scrape thing. That's a swamp song all the way through.
Awesome.
But well, yeah, Fireproven, Balance Breach, Medicated. Also a killer death metal album that just came out today.
True.
Church of the Dead. I mean, we're talking about the land of the thousand metal bands. So, I mean, we could go on also forever.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing to do. So definitely stay in touch for that reason. Like whenever I have people on here and we have a good time, and it usually is, like I say, keep in touch. Like consider me somebody you can just like message to with like, have you heard this band? Because I will definitely respond and just be like, no, or yeah, this band is amazing. So, and I like to have people back on too as they're working on new material and everything. So definitely stay in touch, and I really appreciate you taking all this time to do this. Like, again, I wish I had another 3 hours to Joe Rogan this thing, but I've got I've got other work to do, unfortunately. Where's the best place people should follow you, like with the most updates and everything?
I think
Facebook.
Facebook and Instagram.
Or Instagram, yeah, because they are a bit different. I mean, Instagram, there will be more videos and pictures, maybe, but Facebook is the best way to get the info.
Yeah, those two, they're the best.
Cool. Okay. And once more, the album is Lidless, and it comes out August 21st, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Also, we have a landing page for kind of pre-orders, or like that you can go with your like shop of choice. So if you just go to humavoid.com, at the moment it redirects to that landing page, and there's the music videos. You can put a reminder to your calendar and stuff like that. So
excellent.
That's good.
Cool. Any final thoughts before we wrap up here?
Listen to good music. Always keep your ears open.
Hell yeah. That's what we're all about. So yeah, if you're down with that, not to shamelessly plug myself too much, but yeah, there's a whole Metal Trenches YouTube channel. So in addition to these podcast episodes, I'm putting up videos pretty much every day right now since I'm working from home anyways, so I have more time, and all sorts of album roundups and recommendations, and lots of stuff to check out if you're in the mood for new music.
Cool. I'm gonna check it out. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm looking for like good like channels.
Oh, you're breaking up.
All that stuff at once. So
you're looking for what? You broke up. You broke up for a second there. What was that?
Yeah, I'm like looking for like good podcasts and YouTube channels that have that kind of content. So definitely, I'm gonna check it out.
Awesome. Well, I hope you enjoy it, and it's not something you look at and then go, "Oh, this sucks," and you move on to the next one. But hopefully, I put some effort into it, so I'm really trying to grow it at this point, and people seem to be responding positively, and I just enjoy doing it in general. But yeah, well, I'm making excuses to not hang up right now, but I do need to go. And again, thank you once more for your time, and again, stay in touch.
Yeah, thanks you too. It was fun talking about music. I could go on forever. Well,
for sure. Yeah, like I said.
Great day.
Yep.
Have a great day.
Yep, you too. Bye. And that'll do it for this episode of Podcast. Another really enjoyable conversation that I just never want these to end. But unfortunately, life happens and there's so much more work to be done. And of course, I've got to edit this thing too, which takes a little bit of time. But thank you as always for listening. And once more, please do subscribe. You can listen to this podcast on any platform of your choice. But again, there's also the YouTube channel that I referenced with all sorts of extra video content. So subscribe there as well. Regardless of what you're listening or watching on, hit the like button or the rating button. Give us a comment. It really lets YouTube know that people are interested and engaged, and it encourages the algorithm to share it out to a wider pool of people that can then not only discover me and this channel, but also these amazing bands that deserve so much more attention, because that's really what this is all about. Also in the description, you can find links to all of our social media, the email newsletter, and our Patreon and Subscribestar if you want to make that extra jump to becoming a full-on supporter. I'd really appreciate that. Even $1 a month, your couch change makes a difference. It adds up. But that'll do it for this episode. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.